Hey, welcome in, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Anybody on TikTok, you can feel free to jump over to Kick or Twitch if you want the full screen layout with ES and NQ side by side. If you prefer the vertical layout, totally up to you. Kendo, welcome back. Good to see you. Kendo, you're going to be on my going to be on my clip from yesterday's session for your comment. Got it overlaid to the chart, and it's on the from the stream. Appreciate the support. All right. I think we are all rolling here. Just wanted to double check there. All right. So let's dive into it for August 14th. So looks like we got another SMT at the highs on the higher time frame coming into the session. It looks like we have now taken previous day high on ES. And we have not taken previous day high on NQ. Go ahead and mark, or no, we took it on NQ, not on ES. Let's mark that up. Dylan, welcome in. Uh, okay, so honestly, guys, I was looking at London session last night before I went to bed, and honestly, I thought shorts down into the unfilled 4 hour bullish fair value gap uh, were was going to be the play, but I didn't really get it like a good setup to it, so I didn't jump on to stream or take any trades. But it ended up holding through London and pushing to that previous day high uh, on Nasdaq, making that high time frame S&T, and now it's really wanting to turn over. So this is, I think everybody should have on their chart going into this session. This low right here is what made that 4 hour FEG. That's unmitigated right now. I think that this is going to be, whether it's today or early next week, I think that this will be a critical level that we could potentially play into. Let me get my demonstrator on. So pretty aggressive sell off right at the open. Let's see what the map's looking like uh, overall. I got a couple questions of how I pull this up. On your trading view, I'm using the desktop app, and if you create a new tab at the top, like where your chart will automatically be a tab. If you hit that plus sign and make a new tab, one of the options is the heat map, and then you can change between the S&P and Nasdaq. Obviously, you guys over TikTok, you're only seeing about half of it, but I think that it still is nice to get an overall sentiment in the market, especially on a Friday. Looking pretty mixed to me. I don't really see one direction really screaming too loud. Welcome in, Matthew, Diamond West, John. Welcome. So the other level that I encourage all of you that start watching the stream to really get in the habit of marking on your chart, guys, is the midnight opening range. This to me is critical in my not entry. It's not an entry model. It's more of a like guideline of where we are so that you don't lose sight of the bigger intraday picture. Okay. So what I mean by that is 12 to 12:30. This is not something I created. This is something that ICT has taught religiously. So I just go to the 30-minute time frame, mark the high and low of that 12 a.m. candle, and then make that my 12 to 12:30 opening range. Now, once that's formed, which obviously it's formed right here, once that's formed, you would assume that there's very little opportunity if you're going to be in a long biased day. You would assume very little opportunity to get in, meaning buy at or especially below midnight opening range. So when I see this, where have we gotten a single opportunity? Like, here's the range forming, and we've pushed out, we came back in it, and then moved out again. We've had very little opportunity to buy long in this level. To me, that's showing a bullish leaning day. Now, I don't take longs just off of that, but I'm adding that as a clue in the overall like uh, picture that I'm trying to paint, so that I'm executing with a lot of confidence. So we saw yesterday with that big run up, we had that Judas swing right at 9:30. And move the chart down just real quick. I don't want to get um, too far off the reservation here, but I mean, this is a perfect picture, guys, of using a little laggy. All right, so here's a perfect picture of midnight opening range, right? Midnight opening range was formed here, right, at the beginning of where I have it marked. And then you've had you know, you have very little opportunity, meaning it spends very little time underneath that range on a bullish day. So if we're coming into the market and we're, say right in here somewhere, to me, you're seeing these wicks underneath it, not many body closures under it. That to me is showing me to lean long on the day. So the more you use it, the better you get at kind of reading it. We're getting a very nice reaction off the open right now. Looking like it's gonna want to go and run that high. Now remember, guys, when we put this is something that a lot of people struggle to understand, that this SMT, yes, it is present right now at this moment. That does not mean that that SMT is going to hold. If ES goes and takes that high, then it's just a lower time frame SMT, right? If it goes and takes that high off this candle, then it's not a 1 hour SMT. It's been invalidated on the 1 hour. So probably only actually print on like maybe the 5 minute or the 15 minute, depending on the structure. So just remember this. This looks like a freaking monster 1 hour candle back to the upside. Coming on this close. Is that the, yeah. See. 9 p.m., 1 a.m. So honestly, we got some relative equal lows from the overnight session. You could probably consider the 1 a.m. one your London low, and then that 9 p.m. one your Asia low. We need to be very weary here that, like, anything you take long, you got a 4 hour unmitigated right under you, and then you got your overnight lows basically stacked on each other right underneath you. So that's a little tricky, even though the midnight opening range is showing me at this time that it's looking like I would want to be a buyer on the session. We all know that that can flip, right? I mean, it can start to paint a different picture and clean some of this up here. My ES chart, I haven't laggy. I don't know why. See, literally on fiber internet. Good. I'm gonna kill this. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I'm gonna kill this and relaunch it. It's a little laggy. I've had that trading view window open for a while now. Sometimes it just needs a little reboot. Welcome in, welcome in. Happy Friday. everybody. We're gonna try to sneak us a little bit of profit out of the markets and call it a day. Go have a good weekend. Should always be your mission on Fridays. Okay, now this is interesting now that I'm looking at this. Let me make sure that I'm not. Let me go to the hourly on ES here. So we did have actually an SMT overnight at that Asia London low there. ES London low swept the Asia low. Okay, so we did have a bullish SMT at the lows. So we still had a London low active on ES that's now getting taken out. Okay. And then we had some relative equals overnight that I had marked, which is basically your Asia and London highs. So very tight consolidation, guys, overnight. And it doesn't, although ES has very bearish candle printing right now on the hourly, we don't know if this has really made up its mind for the session. NQ keeps bouncing up and down. Check the 4 hours here. So they're running pretty similar to each other. This 4-hour candle's printing a little different. NQ is holding a little stronger. Obviously took the previous day high um, up here. Seems to be rejecting that level though pretty aggressively. Going up back up to retest it. Okay. So the question is, so we actually, wow, okay, we're making SMTs like crazy. So we actually had a new SMT here on the 4-hour, which is very interesting to me. Very interesting to me. So we swept previous 4-hour low. But we have not on NQ, which also supports um, our general idea that NQ is running a bit more bullish. So pretty big 4-hour SMT there. That did give ES the sweep of London low. Uh, and London already swept Asia low. So for me, all of this liquidity down here on for ES has been cleared out. So for me, I'm a little less worried about taking a trade higher and having my stop loss with these open draws on liquidity underneath me. Okay. And the reason for that is because they're SMTs, they're not both of the indices leaving these. ES has swept everything out. As I always say, ES is big brother. Okay. All right. Uh I need to log on. Let's see. And do this 2 seconds here. And let me get my broker signed in here. see, move this where I want to trade. Should I do my funded futures or my Lucid account? I'm gonna go Lucid. Lucid Friday. So what, guys? Anyone that's been with my very new community. The heck? Anyone that's been with my new community over the last month or so since we launched knows that 10 a.m. is when I really want to do um, most of my transacting in the market. And the reason for that is to uh, I want to be able to see the 4 hour candle opening at 10 a.m. And I really like to wait until the 4 hour opens impulsively in the opposite direction of my overall bias or my trade idea or the direction that I want to see for that session. Okay. So the reason for that, okay, let me get this off the screen for my pick people here. Which there we go. All right. So why is that? Okay. Everybody knows, everybody understands that longing off of the 4 hour wick is nice, right? Like that sounds great to all of us. What I essentially want to do, like if I'm looking for say this right here to be my draw on liquidity, which is just either a 1 or 4 hour swing high. If I'm looking for that to be my draw on liquidity, then I look at liquidity like gas in a car. Okay. This is how I explain this to my 7-year-old son. I'm serious. If I truly am going to get this as a draw on liquidity for this session, New York AM, what does my 10 a.m. 4 hour candle need to look like? Okay. Just keep it very simple. Obviously, there are some that can expand in one direction for 3 hours and then fall back down. But essentially, what I need it to look like is I need a bullish candle, right? And where is the best place to get involved into a trade on a bullish candle? On the wick or near the opening price, right? Okay. So what I want to see off the open of the 4 hour candle, you can also do this at 11 a.m. on the 1 hour candle, the same exact concept. But if I'm looking for a 4 hour candle to form in the market and have some structure kind of like that, and I know that I want to long off of the wick, I want to get long somewhere in here. There's a couple of reasons that that's great. Okay. One, yes, you're you're buying at a point that and then you can put your stop what you're at the time assumed to be the 4 hour low, which is very protected if you get it right. And then you can in theory hold it for a majority of the expansion of that candle. And as long as you're taking profits at good draws on liquidity, then more than likely you're going to catch that extension. And then before that higher time frame candle actually starts to peel back and start leaving a upper wick, you're probably already out of your trade if you're not getting overly greedy with it. So this is what I try to do, okay? And the way in which I try to do this is I try to pinpoint where is this wick going to manipulate into. If you can paint that picture every day at 10 a.m., which direction is this thing going to manipulate? Okay, or which direction do I want to trade? That's kind of step one. I pick that solely based on draw and liquidity and market structure. Okay. So I like the market structure going higher right now. I think the market's overall bullish. I have a good draw on liquidity higher. So I'm looking for higher trades. Now, here comes our 10 a.m. open. Now, I don't have anything on the 4 hour. The only thing on the 4 hour that I have that I could see this thing manipulating into is this 4 hour unmitigated bullish fair value gap down here. Okay. Now, do I see this thing running all the way down here? Probably not. Not, I mean, it's looking pretty freaking bullish as of right now. So I don't have anything in this price leg right here, right? I don't have anything in there on the 4 hour that I can see the being the where the low wick of a bullish 4 hour candle may um, want to pivot and turn around. Okay. Let me, I drew these on that 4 hour chart here. Let me get these. So I have a very specific thing that I'm looking for. Okay. Now back to the gas in the car example. That's how I look at liquidity. If it's going to deliver to your draw on liquidity, then I need to see the car get filled up. I don't want to see the car, I don't want to put $5 gas in the tank and then expect it to run 100 points in the opposite direction. Okay. I want to see it fueling up and kind of getting some potential mileage. Now, obviously, it's not an exact science. Of course, I'm wrong. I mean, of course, it manipulates me sometimes, but this is a um, great way of thinking. Okay, so right now we have this very long wick on the 1 hour. It's already manipulated into all of these. I mean, we got some stacked 1 hour gaps in here. Okay. And then if we also check our dealing range here. So from this high up here down to the most recent low, which is here, look at that. So we're holding right above equilibrium of that 1 hour range. Okay. Now, because we've already had this very deep manipulation off the open, right? And it's cleared up a lot of PD arrays in this. I mean, I'm sorry, it's filled a lot of PD arrays in that kind of up leg. My strategy will not really strategy, but my where I'm looking for entry may change a little bit because I've got the big manipulation prior to 10 a.m., then I'm okay expecting maybe not as long of a wick on this 4 hour candle. Okay. So 30-minute, again, all this wick has taken everything, has filled everything I had over here. Okay. So I don't think I'm going to really be able to use those time frames very well here. I'm thinking that maybe the 5, um, let's see. I still don't really like it. I was hoping that off of that off of that long wick from that last hourly candle, we would have maybe a potential of a new bullish gap on these lower time frame that we could look for price to pull. Is looking pretty good. We just got an inverse here. And a nice retap, honestly. Now that I'm looking at it, that candle, that next 1 minute candle retapped. Now, usually I'm not on the 1 minute chart yet, but today I'm a little more open to be because already got that manipulation heavily in the opposite direction of me. And other than this 4 hour way down here, we've already cleaned up all the liquidity that I would care to, I'm sorry, imbalances that I would look for price to manipulate into off the 4 hour open. Okay. Not in any trade yet, guys. Okay. Look at, let's pull ES up on the lower time frame here. So I think that we could essentially hold this position until ES hits previous day high. See if we get us, I would want, really would want this thing to give me an opportunity. See, that would be my dealing range there, that low, overlapping that FEG. See, what is my risk here? 750. Okay. Would like this thing to pull back down into that equilibrium of that range. I'm going to flip over real quick, guys, to MNQ and start to get myself prepared for potential entry here. If we get it here, 7, I'm going to be doing, all right, there's our EQ bounce. Golly, I think late. Okay, I'm in there. Hey, Ruthless, welcome in. Thanks for the follow. Now, guys, I don't want to see this thing start falling through all these PD arrays here. We haven't had a sweep to the upside on either index. So I would look for this to hold. Now we need to get my target on the on my screen here. God, I'm freaking laggy today, man. Wow. Is that the next? I was trying to find that high that I had marked. Is that it? Way up there? 30? 30,319. Now, if we're wrong on this trade, I mean, and it starts to turn over, I think maybe it's going to target that 4 hour underneath. Got a lot of SMTs at the lows. Feel like had a very bullish couple of days. I would expect the Friday, I think it's there. I would expect maybe the Friday to be to follow suit. So, uh, kind of happy Friday thing. Three, 3-0 this week on stream. So maybe I'm due a loss. See, thing is freaking killing me. I don't know what's wrong with my internet. All right, cool. We're gonna let that cook there for a minute. Are you watching that 4 hour open? Literally not even moving. I really need this candle to close bullish here. Look what ES is looking like on the 15 minute. What doesn't scare me out of this trade is we haven't swept the high, that SMT high there. I would assume that we would need to sweep something to the upside to start to target lower liquidity. And honestly, this to me on the 5 minute, let me mark this up here. This to me looks nice to run highs we're making. I'm gonna grab my coffee. I think as long as this 5-minute closes bullish, we should be okay. Definitely don't wanna see the 5-minute, like, throw a wick up and start to fall. Oh, like that. That's ugly, bro. Yeah, this thing, I mean, it's been choppy. It just looked like it wanted to break out because it had so much manipulation off the open, but I was looking to just ride it to that next, liquidity high, call it a day. Yeah, this doesn't look good. Let's see, where are we forming SMT? That new 15-minute. Maybe if we can survive the low wick of the 15-minute and then get it to push. See. Done. Very interesting. Yeah, this thing's chalk. Ooh, now flip. No. Uh, all right, boys. Well, that's so. Yeah. So we since 10 a.m. All right, let's move this. Okay. All right, I got one more in the chamber, guys. 0 and 2, and I'm done. Let's Let's reevaluate here. The 4 hour actually, good lord, that's so it actually went up and looks to basically have made a relative equal high to our pre-market high. We had a wick already to the downside, tapping equilibrium, tapping that 1 minute FEG. We've already had heavy manipulation off the 9 a.m. hourly candle. I took that as my reasoning there, which I'm good with. But didn't want to give it to me. But now we've swept the low of that wick. Huh. Very interesting, man. Very interesting. Because that wick, if you look at the ES chart, man, like to me, that wick looks freaking great to hold. It formed SMT, it swept London. London had already swept Asia. I don't mind that trade there. So this thing's really getting some legs now. At 4 hour open, guys, if you keep kind of this in the back of your mind, you can see that we were on the wrong side of so far of how this 4 hour is expanding. It's as simple as that. It looks like it's driving down towards this 4 hour FEG lower. See here. So how can we get involved in this? Because like I said, the first words out of my mouth were everybody should have this 4 hour FEG on their chart. It just didn't really, at that time, it didn't really look like that's where it wanted to go because it had this crazy low wick on the hourly. It had a lot of manipulation to the downside. It reversed. Both the indexes seem to be holding. All right, so we will potentially open up a little 5 minute FEG in here. Okay. If we potentially get a retest of it. Now, the good part about shorts today is in ES has so far to go to get to that 4 hour, that same 4 hour. So ideally, we find us an entry to get and just ride it to this for NQ. This line that I have marked there. Because like I said, when I looked at when I looked at London and I was tempted to get on and stream London last night, I was short biased to that 4 hour. Just didn't really set up well for me, unfortunately. Things really growing some legs here. freaking monster of a 15-minute candle on ES. Freaking monster. We gotta wait for we gotta we can't chase price here, guys. See, we're about to get a new obviously we're about to get a new 5-minute candle right now, but in 5 minutes we get a new 15 and a new 30-minute. Maybe then we could potentially get it to come back into this. So there's our dealing range there. Yes, it's raining. I want this thing to pop back into this 5-minute and look for continuations into the 4 hour unfilled. We do have that same FEG on ES. I'm really crossing my fingers here that it doesn't hit this 4 hour before 10:30. Because at 10:30 we get a new 15-minute, we get a new 30-minute, and those can potentially manipulate in the opposite direction enough to give us that 5-minute FEG tap. And ideally, that would be the 30-minute high and that 15-minute high. So we got about 3 minutes to that. The I just really don't want it to run too far on me. Wonder if it's all right. 1 minute. Let's see if we can let this thing hold and not. What we're trying to do is essentially this. What I would love is this. This would make me very happy. Something like this. What I want. We actually have a nice low right here to go break even at. All right, here we go. Let's see what we get. Nope, it doesn't want us to have it. Ain't that a shame? Come on, snap back up and give me an entry now. Oh, in Q? Good Lord. It runs the if it run well, because ES is not gonna be its fair value. Guys, if this hits this fair value gap on NQ, the day's kind of for me chalk because you have so much room before you get to that 4 hour on ES down in here, right? Got a lot more to travel. And it travels less than NQ already, right? So if NQ taps this, it's 4 hour, right? You could get a false bullish signal coming out of a bullish PD array, right? But that would be kind of sketchy to take because then you would put your stop at a low and then it could just continue to dig deeper into that 4 hour until ES finally hits its 4 hour. So long, once it hits this fair value gap, to me is extremely sketchy. To each its own. Just because ES is not hitting that gap, at near the same time. I would say it'd probably take ES an additional hour, probably, of good price movement to work its way down to its 4 hour. Now, you may say, okay, then why sell right here? Right? You can hold it for longer, but I think that's uh, also sketchy because you never know when you're going to get a tap, so you like tap into the gap, and then you get this, and it's not enough of it. Really is just a lower high on the higher time frame before it falls off again. But it's enough of an uptrend where it's going to run your stop if you just continue to short it, trying to make it go even further down into that gap. I think that's kind of a fool's errand there. Potentially could open at 15 minute. Now that would be pretty freaking interesting there. I might turn on my copy trader for that trade. If it leaves at 15 there, I might look for to go a little deeper into that. Not being emotional because I took a loss today. 3-1 on the week. I'm green on the week. I give myself 2 trades. I'm fully within my rule set to take one more stab at the market today. And I like the draw on liquidity. Internal range liquidity, but it's liquidity nonetheless. I like my draw. Let's see. So we're getting that pop. So, I mean, a couple things could happen here. Let's see. We could drive higher. Let me mark this out. So this wick right here, if we reach that wick, then we would basically close the imbalance on the 15-minute chart. So I'm going to write, oh my gosh, that's testing my freaking patience, bro. M15. You're going to say M15 rebalance. And all that I'm saying there is before the third candle of a fair value gap closes in 6 minutes and 30 seconds, that if it reaches this line, then it's closing where that fair value gap would be, right? It's rebalancing before the inefficiency even forms. So like you could see actually on the 30-minute, it's already done that. Look where it wicked to. Look. Yeah, popped up just high enough to close that imbalance, where that imbalance would be on the 30. 20 minutes left on the hourly. The hourly definitely had a major extension. And in the terms of probability here, guys, getting short, you know, as it's already pulled back on this wick, expecting it to close deeper and not have as much of a wick. That's a little dangerous in itself too. I don't really love that, but we shall see. So we're going to go back down to the 5 minute where we have a point of interest to watch. If we get this point of interest to tap, guys, we would have closed the 30 minute where the 30 minute would have an FEG here and the 15 minute and then tap the 5 minute. Okay. Why is that such a big deal? Because then you have less the market has less reasons to violate your stop loss. There isn't there it's already balanced. And ideally, if you're drawing liquidities right, then you're probably not going to have a bunch of drawdown. If you're drawing liquidities right. So this thing's popped up. I don't know exactly what, man, it's that first minute of this 5 minute candle here has been aggressively down, which is not what is not what we wanted. I need this thing to go up, bro. I need this thing to go up. Freaking ES looks so ugly on the 5 minute. Is it really just going to leave these gaps behind? If it doesn't go and tap that 5 minute, what is that doing? Well, that's leaving the 15 open. But again, we're getting so freaking close to the draw on liquidity that, I'm aiming for this session. Kind of nerve wracking here. Decisions, guys. We did just get a 1 minute IFEG in here, retapping it. Could argue you could argue that you could short here and just put your stop at this high. But I definitely don't like that because your equilibrium in 5 minutes is right above you. Oh, there we go. Let's see if we can get this thing to flip back over. We need this 5 minute on ES. Anybody watching the ES chart, we need this 5 minute on ES to buy its way back up. If we get that, then we potentially will form the 15 minute, which I like. And we'll have, I think, a higher chance of actually tapping into it. I want to see this trend here continue on the one. If it gives me that 15 minute FEG, I'm going to absolutely smack that trade. I'm telling y'all now. But I have a feeling that it's not, unfortunately. All right, guys. So welcome in. We just got. All right, guys. So small. I mean, 1 hour loss so far today. Looking for my second and last trade of I guess, the week. With this loss, we're now 3-1 on the week on stream. So overall, very good week. I don't mind this trade here at the time. But now all my eyes are focused on the 4 hour bullish FEG that's been unmitigated, untapped on both NQ and ES. NQs will get hit first just based off market structure right now. So uh, that's where, I'm really watching closely, just looking at what our structure looks like to that. We have a 5-minute FEG up into here. That's unmitigated so far. And then on the 15-minute chart, we will be closing in right now, actually, 6 seconds. And we will get this as a bearish 15-minute. Okay. And then we should have that same gap on ES. Yeah, let's go back down. So starting a new 15-minute candle, new 5-minute candle, obviously, too. We need to, I need price to come back into here. Let's get rid of this rebalance line because we didn't rebalance, so we now have the inefficiency, the FEG. Even though I took a loss, guys, I cannot chase this. It doesn't end well, bro. It doesn't. Maybe one day, one out of freaking 25 days it does, but doesn't end well. If it just runs without you, bro, just take the L. 3-1 on the week. Like, I'm just talking to myself, but anyone listening, like, sometimes very hard, especially when we've been trading really well, to just take a losing day, man. The freaking weekend, like, who freaking cares? Gonna happen. All right, we are getting a little pop right now. I like that so far. Marking this 15-minute on my ES chart here. Now let's look at the 5-minute one more time. So the 5-minute, we actually have two 5-minute gaps on ES. Okay. And I also need to do my dealing range. So swing high down to my swing low. All right. So that 15-minute, why do I like it? I like it because it is overlapping my equilibrium. It is overlapping my equilibrium in that leg. Now, obviously that is relative, right? Like your 4-hour chart, no, this is not your equilibrium, right? Of your 4-hour range. It's relative to the time period. So on my I have a 15-minute PD array, my 15-minute Dilling range. I have a 5-minute PD array, my 5-minute Dilling range. Sometimes they are the same. In this case, the 5 and the 15 are the same Dilling range because they didn't have any up close candles from this high up here down into this low. Come on. It's just sitting here and kind of consolidating in the same little pocket. Need to get this thing to run up to these highs, and waiting game. And you wait to take your first trade. Then you wait after you lost your first trade so that your second trade is good and not rushed and impulsive. After you take a good winner on the day, can you get off the chart? Guys, it's literally that simple. It's that simple. Not It's simple. I'm not saying it's easy, but it is very simple. I'm going to say that one more time. Can you be patient when the market first opens for that first trade setup for a good one where you're not rushing into something? If you take a loss on trade one, can you be patient and wait for a good trade two, even if that means you don't get a second entry? And if you take a good win, can you close the computer? If you can do those three things, you're probably beating 90% of people that are trying to do this. This is a competition, bro. This is a competition. You against yourself. And it's a transaction market, which is the definition of competition. Now, I don't really see it like you guys are, you know, my enemy or anything like that. But for you to win, somebody's got to lose, right? So, got to do the things that other people aren't willing to do. All right, getting a little reaction there. So maybe we're gonna get something here. We're still within time. We're good on time. So let's see what the market gives us, guys. See what the market gives. Let's see. And of course, as soon as I start talking good about NQ, it freaking does that. Come on. Come on, bro. Maybe off the hourly open we get. I mean, we're in the macro right now. I would expect us to be moving a little bit somewhere. Uh, I would like to see something impulsive in the opposite direction of the way that I want to trade off of the hourly open here, 11 a.m. Everything that I described for that 10 a.m. 4 hour candle, and I said you could also use the 11 a.m. 1 hour in the same way, in the same thinking. That's what I'm that's what I'm wanting here. That is what I'm wanting here. Is my Now, where's the other side of that? The other side of that is the hour opens and manipulates lower, taps the 4 hour immediately, like within the first, 5 minutes, and then starts to reverse higher, which is, totally, totally an option. And that would just give us a no trade, unfortunately. But I see people, for me, how I'm seeing this right now is I'm seeing people getting short in here just based off market structure. Okay. And when I see people getting short, I look for when could the market pull one of these and then deliver. So I need the spike, man. I need to see the car filling up with gas, aka taking a whole bunch of people's orders. And we really haven't gone anywhere yet. I guess we are actually, guys. We just got okay, okay. Actually, we may be able to get something here, guys. Did we sweep? See if we swept this. I can't, I really can't tell. No. Okay, so still no sweep on that London low. I was thinking maybe we could sweep, um, like maybe we get the sweep of London low, and then that gives us enough to get that false pop, lower high, and then get our delivery, maybe. Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and mark this Asia low too while I'm thinking about it. I only had it on NQ chart. So maybe we can get this thing, just maybe. Now this thing is just made relative equal low to those. Yeah, that I knew this was about to get swept. All right. We got 20 seconds here. I need this thing to stop right here. Like stop. Stop, bro. Stop, bro. Okay. And then I'm gonna move my entry down to just this 15-minute, and then I would like to keep my stop above the 4-hour opening price, which basically means as long as the 4-hour candle doesn't flip back bullish before I exit, I'm okay. I like that. I believe that this 4-hour candle is going to hit the 4-hour FEG before it's going to flip back to the upside, if it even flips back to the upside. I like that. And that gives me the 15-minute as defense. All right, here's our hourly open, guys. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I want this high to get ran. That's really my criteria. And this is a clean, I would call this high open liquidity because it sponsored a lower low. Okay. I would like to see this thing get swept. I need the sweep. I need the sweep to get involved and have high probability conditions here. But I also have to be okay with that. It may not give it to me. May not give it to me. And that's part of the game we play. Little adjustment to my dealing range here. Same basic, same basic uh, idea there. Don't think that we're out of this quite yet, guys. I mean, we're hanging on by, you know, barely, barely hanging. But one thing I do know about old Nazi is she can do anything that she wants, if she really wants to. So, but that may be the hourly high there, and that might be all she wrote. Let's see. What did it even tap that high? A little 1 minute bro. Well, I'm gonna miss that trade every single time. I'm never gonna take that trade. Look at this manipulation, guys. This is just not enough for me. This is what this thing ran back into. Can't even freaking zoom in that far to even extend this thing. That's all I see there is that baby little 1 minute. Go back into that big wick, and you had that order block there as well. Power opened higher, tap the 1 minute, and then just freaking lost it. Well, that is pretty frustrating. I'm trying to see what other entry could I have had to this move. I don't really know what I missed here. I mean, I'm not obviously not always you miss something, but I like to have an idea of what I may have missed. Yeah, I'm looking at even the 3 minute because I was running off the 5 minute already. And bro, even the 3 minute, I don't know if I would have gotten an entry. Because even this pullback here on the 3 minute, you didn't even this is not even a point of interest. Your points of interest again are up here, even on the 3 minute. Hmm, that's that's tough. I go uh let's see, 11:05. Give it just a minute here and because sometimes you will see where the market is so beat down to the downside or just it's ran so high to the upside where it starts to stall and just chop. And when you see that happening, you if you understand liquidity, then you can understand that hey, okay, something is going to have to happen in that opposite direction to get to bait people in, to stop people out, to get the market moving again towards that true target draw on liquidity. And I was hoping this and here, all of these freaking back and forth wiki candles, that's what that looked like to me. So that to me was just saying, hey, just be a little patient, Zax. It's you're gonna get something impulsive, um, in the opposite direction of your draw on liquidity that you can get in at. And, most of the time it does. But that it seems like maybe it got enough people in off all those wicks that it was able to kind of fall down another level there. Now close below the Asia low and the London low. Why is that important? Because that is invalidating the S&P on the higher time frame. Okay. I mean, at this point, it's just following 1 minute structure. Could just hit this little baby smack. That's gonna hit. Just go in with your max minis on whatever account you're playing. Honestly, I don't know why more people don't take those types of trades where it's like you're getting respected structure all the way down and you get uh you're on the 1 minute, it's rejecting a fair value gap or something off of a lower high. Very clear draw on liquidity is a few inches away. You know, it's gonna hit it. maybe I need to do some back testing on how to take advantage of those. Because I think every single person watching that knew at this point in here that, once it came up and respected this order block, that this was getting hit, right? But I always feel weird, like when you know, aiming for, freaking 3 points or 5 points, whatever, it just seems weird to me. I mean, green is green, so this is freaking brutal. Tough Friday. Very tough Friday. Very tricky the open, because of how we open. Just a massive wick to the downside, freaking really bullish closing hourly candle. Had the S&T at the 4 hour or on the 4 hour chart at previous day high. But with that close, I was just assuming that that would be invalidated and ES would eventually go take its previous day high. Next 4 hour open, we didn't expect much manipulation because the 9 a.m. 1 hour manipulated so heavily. Guys, I really hope anyone, TikTok, Twitch, wherever you are, I hope everyone just takes a page out of my book from today and learn something. Not a strategy, not anything really to do with the fundamental technical part of trading in this case. But saw me take a loss. I've been on a winning streak all week. So I really wanted a picture perfect week with no losses. We've all been there, pride, ego, etc. Right? I take a loss, nothing crazy, 1 R, totally fine. And I kind of analyze the chart. I see the direction that it's trying to go. I mocked this trade up literally probably close to an hour ago now. What time did I get out of this trade? 10, literally an hour ago. I mock up this, and even on the very micro time frames, I didn't get an entry. I didn't push the button again, even though I was freaking right. But I didn't force it. I didn't chase it. My draw and liquidity hit, and I'm still 0-1 on the day. And I got to be okay with that. That is that's what you're signing up for if you really want to do this in the long term. That's what you're signing up for. All the lights and glitter and supercars and all that is great, but to make it there, you gotta pick up on those types of things. Now this thing freaking running, man. And it's irritating. I'm not scared to admit that, right? Like this freaking irritates me. Like I was right. Like I would have just made my loss back probably and then some I told y'all if this 15 got tapped, I was going to go in on multiple accounts because I really liked it. And I was confident on my draw on liquidity. Didn't get that. Okay. Part of the game, man. So the other thing we could bring up, and again, I mean, the structure, like on the 30, I mean, on the 15-minute, even here over here on ES, other than that same 15-minute that's been open for the last 30, 45 minutes, that's not been tapped, I don't see a ton of opportunities to get in because ES has not tapped its 4-hour FEG yet. Okay. It's still underneath us. Now, it's a little sketchy trying to play shorts into ES's 4-hour when NQ's already hit its 4-hour. Because as we know, in theory, this thing could bounce uh, at any time and basically just leave an SMT in the market at that fair value gap. Now, with that said, another level that I have a very high interest in to the downside of price right now on the NASDAQ is the equilibrium of the range we created yesterday. Okay. So if we look at say, like the 30-minute chart here, yeah. Now, why do I like this equilibrium so much? I'll tell you. Because just totally based on structure, the 15-minute, the 30-minute, and the 1 hour, honestly, probably maybe even the 4 hour now that I think about it, but I haven't confirmed that. At least the 15, 30, and 1 hour all have the same equilibrium based on where the last down close candle was, consecutive up close candles. Right at the line of, or right at the 50% of that fair value gap. So now the fair value gap, I don't really care about anymore because we've already tapped it yesterday. We've already utilized it. It's already made a higher high. Obviously much later, but I'm not too worried about the fair value gap. But what we could potentially see is price wanting to pull back towards our equilibrium that we created. And why am I thinking that? One, because many time frames align to the same equilibrium price. I like that. Two, NQ is already tapped its 4-hour gap, and ES still has. Let me write this real quick. So this is. I'm just gonna say. Yesterday was 813. 813 range EQ. All right, I'm going to get rid of this on my chart since we did not get entry for that, unfortunately. And then we're going to look. Still got about 8.75 points to travel on ES to tap that gap, okay? To tap its 4-hour FEG that we just tapped over here on NQ. So what I'm saying is just looking lower, what is something else that could be a magnet for price as ES continues to fall until it ultimately reaches its 4-hour FEG, just like in Q did. I like this EQ here because that is inside that 4-hour uh, bullish fair value gap, but offers us potentially a deeper target inside the gap that's specific and not just, something like just randomly holding potentially a trade. So I see a lot of balance on the 30-minute chart. You see how these wicks are crossing, like no fair value gaps are forming in here? This wick's going just up past that one. This one's going just up past that one. It seems very balanced price action to me on the 30-minute. Let's look at the 1 hour here. How are we starting this? So we started higher and now we're turning over. That's potentially interesting. Yeah, we are going to leave behind a 1 hour FEG potentially. Started higher. We really didn't tap much of anything. Let's see. There's that 11 a.m. open. Oh my gosh. This thing is about to seek that EQ out. Man, guys, this is freaking brutal. Just not pulling back. It's just not pulling back. All right. I mean, I don't really see anything that it could want to rebalance. You gotta be freaking kidding me. Oh my God. All right, guys. I'm gonna call it for the day. I hope everybody has a good weekend. I'll catch you guys next week. This is just not giving me anything that I can do anything with. We're about to hit 11:30. It's just it is what it is, man. Y'all have a good weekend. I'll catch y'all next week. Peace.